And with that in mind, I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Dr. Cicely Cunningham. She's an oncology doctor, a cancer doctor. She's also on the leadership team of a new exciting organisation called the Doctors Association. They are a campaigning lobbying group that say they're going to campaign on the issues that matter to junior doctors. She's leading the Learn Not Blame campaign that they are soon to be starting, and her Twitter describes her as a trainee mum, trainee oncologist and trainee revolutionary. So you're in for a treat.
Good evening. So I'm Cicely Cunningham. I'm going to stand up because I'm not very tall. We've got about 50% doctors in the audience, I think. Who are the rest of you? Nurses? Patients? NHS campaigners?
Activists, yeah.
Activists. Well, thanks very much for coming, and hopefully what I can talk about is a slightly more positive spin on what I think we can do. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the organisation that I've become part of, almost by stealth it seems. So again, I'm not going to talk about the Dr. Bawagawa case, except I just want to say that that's really where things began for me. So I work in Scotland, and I also had a baby in 2016, so I wasn't part of the junior doctors' contract dispute because we didn't have the new contract imposed on us. I care very passionately about social justice in many ways, but had never felt so moved to do anything until January of this year. And as it happened, I also have a bit of a social media addiction, like many people. I'm on the older side, so it's Facebook, not Instagram, or Snapchat, or any of the things that young people I think are into. But I was spending a lot of time on Facebook, and around that time, when Dr. Bawagawa was in the news, kept popping up posts from this group called The Political Mess. And it was founded by a doctor called Julia Patterson, and she actually started it just before the Bawagawa case hit the news, which I hadn't realised. I thought it was in response. So it was founded as an online space for doctors to talk about political issues openly and to share their feelings about things, and it became pretty fiery at that time. And then in February, Julia put out a call to the membership, which had grown by this point to around between 25 and 30,000 members, for interested doctors who would be prepared to speak to the media, and could they please get in touch with her. So I got in touch and said, I don't mind doing it, I'd rather do radio because I've got a bit of a face for radio. As it happens, I actually haven't done any media, but I have become very involved with what came from it. And we were just a group of interested doctors. None of us had ever met. We communicated initially on Facebook, subsequently on WhatsApp, and we've moved to another app now, but it's all online, and we work as a dispersed team. We're based in different parts of the country, and I actually couldn't tell you even exactly where everyone is. I'm doing all the things that you tell your children not to do, make friends with people online and get involved with them and so on. And today, for the first time I've met one of them, we have Kit, who's doing the tech side of streaming this out on Facebook. So this is the first time we've actually met. So this is Sammy, she's our chair, and she's really been driving this very strongly. And around the time I got involved in this kind of late February, March, we decided to try and formalise this slightly, and we wanted to campaign and lobby. So the two things, lobbying to do with government policy and influencing government policy, campaigning, trying to change national conversations about things. And we were set up as a campaigning and lobbying group. Sammy has taken the helm over from Julia, who's very busy with lots of other things, including putting out a single for the NHS's 70th birthday with her choir, and so on. And Sammy is very keen that we are going to become a membership organisation. We are going to have a democratic format, and we are going to be working towards that. So that is a work in progress. But in the meantime, we decided to campaign and lobby as we went along, and I'm just going to give you a rattle through the things that we've done. So Sammy, before she became the chair of DA UK, when we were all just members of the political mess, wrote a letter to Charlie Massey, and this got 4,500 signatures, mainly UK doctors, but also a handful of MPs also signed this letter, and he did respond to us about 2 months later. We fed into the Williams Review, which was the review set up following the Bawagaba case hitting the news, and we wrote a policy submission that was acknowledged in the report. We respond to things in the media, so a past president of the Royal College of Midwives said some fairly stupid things about doctors being useless at childbirth, and we responded pretty robustly saying that no woman should be ashamed of having to have medical care for the birth of her child if she needs it. And that was published as the lead letter in the Sunday Times at the end of March. The Alfie Evans case was in the news. Sammy has a pretty unique perspective because she has a baby who is premature, and she's also an ITU doctor. So she has been on both sides, and she did some very powerful media interviews at the time around the Alfie Evans case. And also, as a group, we supported the staff at Alderhay Hospital by collating messages of support from our online base and creating them into word cloud posters that we then sent to the Alderhay staff. One of the big campaigns we've generated was around the visa restrictions for doctors, and this was a different one of our members, Neil, who is an overseas trained doctor himself, who had his own Tier 2 visa issue a few years ago. But it came to light from being in touch with people on Facebook that it became very clear that there were numerous doctors affected by the Tier 2 visa restrictions, unable to work in the UK, unable to take up or carry on their existing training posts. And there was one in particular, a Nigerian surgeon, who was prepared to go on the media, and he had had to leave the UK because his marriage had broken down and therefore his spousal visa had been rescinded. He was in training, in surgical training, and I actually don't know where it's got to, but he gave some very powerful media interviews which we facilitated. Some more policy stuff. This is to do with the Healthcare Safety Investigation Branch. It's supposed to be a bit like the Air Accident Investigation Branch, and there's a bill that's proposing to write its role into law that has significant flaws, so we contributed to that. And another letter in the Times around the NHS money that was allocated at the time of the 70th anniversary. And we can't take all the credit for this, but we did play a part in fundraising for Chris and his family to go on a nice holiday, which I hope he will manage to do at some point, together with the Doctors for Progress group and Lauren Gaffigan. This is Chris being presented with the cheque that was we managed to keep it a complete surprise despite the fact that Chris is on all the Facebook fora that we use. And then finally, I'm just going to say a very quick word about something that we're hoping to do that I think ties together a lot of the threads that both Adam Kay discussed and Chris and Julia. And really about doctors feeling that they can do something. So I think we've been surprised that the response we've had, and we've been able to get heard and have media interviews and have letters published and so on. But I think there are an awful lot of doctors who are very busy or very tired or feel that they just are fighting against the tide in their organisations, and I think we want to try and build everyone together into feeling like they can be a positive change. So we're going to be running a campaign called Learn Not Blame, which really has come out of the Dr. Bawagaba case. But also, I think that Chris, as he said, scapegoating of individual doctors and scapegoating and whistleblowing are really two sides of the same rotten coin. And we have a culture, the NHS is wonderful, and none of us would wish to see it anything different in terms of providing a free, universal healthcare system. But we are allowed to criticise it too, and there are features of the NHS culture that focus on blame rather than learning, focus on individuals and mistakes they make. So Learn Not Blame is a campaign to try and change the conversation. to try and allow individual doctors to feel part of a movement. A little bit like the Hello, My Name Is campaign that some of you may be aware of, or the Me Too campaign, where people are able to put themselves forward and say, I'm part of this as well. So Learn Not Blame is going to be a campaign, look out for it coming in the autumn, and we have no budget like everyone else. So we're going to be crowdfunding for that. If any of you would like to contribute, that would be more than welcome. The idea is that individuals will sign up to a Learn Not Blame pledge, which will be about them being able to take actions within their own sphere of influence. So that's everyone from the most junior doctor to the most senior consultant who's involved with management, taking actions within their own sphere of influence to create a learning culture that listens to colleagues, that listens to patients, that looks at what is wrong with the system when things go wrong and focuses on that rather than on blaming individuals. So we're very excited about that. There will be other things that we're doing, I'm sure, as well. We are very keen to hear from anyone. I think the strength that we have is our ear to the ground, and we're able to be flexible in what we do. So please find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Please go to our website or email us. We'd love to hear from you.